The 50-30-20 rule: 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. It is the most widely taught budgeting rule in personal finance. It is in every beginner finance book, every financial planning website, every bank app with a budgeting feature, and for a first-generation wealth builder trying to build real wealth from a modest income, it is the wrong framework. Today I am going to show you why the 50-30-20 rule fails people who are starting from zero and the 4-bucket system that actually works for your situation. This is episode 2 of Building Wealth from Zero. In episode 1, we covered the 3 accounts you need to open and in what order. If you have not watched that episode yet, it is linked on my channel and I recommend starting there. Today we are building the system that tells you exactly how much money goes into each of those accounts every month, not a generic percentage. A framework you can adapt to your actual income and your actual situation. Here is why the 50-30-20 rule fails first-generation wealth builders specifically. The rule was designed around a median income in a stable economy with affordable housing costs. It assumes your needs, rent, food, transport, utilities, comfortably fit within 50% of your take-home pay. For most people in major cities or on below-median incomes, that assumption is simply wrong. If your rent alone takes 40% of your income, the 50-30-20 rule breaks before you even start. The 30% wants category is particularly problematic. For someone starting from zero, 30% of income going to discretionary spending when you have no emergency fund and no investments is not a wealth-building strategy. It is a staying-in-place strategy. The 20% savings rate is also too vague. Savings for what? In what account? At what point does savings become investing? The rule gives you a percentage without giving you a system. The 4-bucket system replaces percentages with priorities. Instead of dividing your income by category, you divide it by purpose. Each bucket has a specific job. You fill the buckets in order. The order is the most important part. Here is the system. Bucket 1, essential expenses. Bucket 2, wealth building. Bucket 3, debt elimination. Bucket 4, lifestyle spending. The order of buckets 2 and 3 might surprise you. Wealth building comes before debt elimination for most people. We covered the exact logic behind that in episode 1. The rate threshold framework tells you which debts to eliminate first and which to carry while you invest. Apply that framework here. Bucket 1 is essential expenses. This is the money your life requires to function. Rent or mortgage, utilities, basic food, transport to work, insurance, minimum debt payments, nothing else. The target for Bucket 1 is 50% of take-home pay or below. If your essential expenses currently exceed 50% of your income, you have 2 options. Reduce expenses where possible, cheaper accommodation, lower transport costs, reduced food spending, or increase income, additional work, skills development that leads to higher pay. This is not a comfortable conversation, but it is an honest one. A budget where essential expenses exceed 50% of income leaves insufficient room for wealth building regardless of what budgeting rule you follow. This channel exists to give you the specific numbers, not the comfortable advice. If that approach to money is useful, subscribe now so you do not miss episode 3. Bucket 2 is wealth building. This is the most important bucket in the system and it gets funded before Bucket 4. Target: 20% of take-home pay minimum. If your essential expenses are genuinely at or below 50%, 20% goes directly into wealth building before you allocate anything to lifestyle. This money goes into the accounts we covered in episode 1. First, the high-yield savings account until your emergency fund is fully funded. Then the index fund investment account with an automated monthly contribution. Then pension contributions up to the employer match, in that order, every month, without fail. 20% of take-home pay invested consistently is the number that builds genuine wealth for first-generation investors over a working lifetime. Not 30, not 50. A consistent 20% starting now is worth more than 50% starting 5 years from now. Bucket 3 is debt elimination. Target: 10% of take-home pay or whatever remains after buckets 1 and 2 are funded. This bucket applies the rate threshold framework from episode 1. Any debt above 8% interest rate gets aggressive extra payments from this bucket first. Credit cards, high-rate personal loans. These come before anything else in bucket 3. Debt between 5 and 8% gets split payments, some toward extra debt repayment, some into bucket 2 investments. Debt below 5% like low-rate mortgages or federal student loans gets minimum payments only. The extra money goes into bucket 2 instead. If you have no high-interest debt, this bucket shrinks and the money moves to bucket 2 or bucket 4. Bucket 4 is lifestyle spending. This is everything that is not essential, not wealth building, and not debt elimination. Dining out, entertainment, clothes beyond the basics, subscriptions, holidays. Whatever remains after buckets 1, 2, and 3 are funded goes here. For some people starting out, this number is small. That is not a problem. It is the honest consequence of starting a wealth-building journey from a low base. As your income grows, bucket 4 grows with it. The system does not demand permanent austerity. It demands correct prioritization. Wealth building comes before lifestyle spending. Every month, that is the entire rule. Let me show you what this looks like in real money. Take-home pay of $2,000 per month. Bucket 1 essential expenses, $1,000. That is 50%. Bucket 2 wealth building, $400. That is 20%. Bucket 3 debt elimination, $200. That is 10%. Bucket 4 lifestyle spending, $400. That is 20%. $400 per month invested consistently from age 25 becomes approximately $1.4 million by age 60 at historical index fund returns. The lifestyle bucket is not zero, it is $400 per month for genuine enjoyment. But the wealth building bucket gets funded first. That is the difference between this system and the 50-30-20 rule. In the 50-30-20 rule, the 30% wants category gets the same allocation as the 20% savings, regardless of what stage of wealth building you are in. In the 4-bucket system, wealth building is prioritized and protected before lifestyle spending is allocated. 3 people, 3 different incomes, same 4-bucket system. Chiamaka earns $1,500 per month take-home. Essential expenses, $900, 60%. This exceeds the target. She is working on reducing housing costs by moving to a cheaper area next month. Wealth building, $250, 17%. Debt elimination, $150, targeting a credit card. Lifestyle spending, $100, small but growing. James earns $3,000 per month take home. Essential expenses, $1,300, 43%. Below target. Wealth building, $700, 23%. No high-interest debt. So bucket 3 is minimal at $50 minimum payments. Lifestyle spending, $950, a comfortable amount. Fatima earns $5,000 per month take-home. Essential expenses, $2,000, 40%. Wealth building, $1,500, 30%. She is accelerating past the minimum. Debt elimination, $200. Lifestyle spending, $1,300. 3 incomes, same system, adjusted amounts, same priorities. I know what some of you are thinking. 20% for wealth building feels impossible right now. My income barely covers my essentials. That is a real situation, and I am not going to pretend otherwise. The answer for that situation is to start with whatever percentage you can and build toward 20% as your income grows. 5% now is better than 0% waiting for the right moment. The system is not about hitting 20% immediately. It is about establishing the priority order immediately. Wealth building before lifestyle spending, even at 5%, even at $50 per month. The habit and the priority matter more than the amount in the early stages. Start with what you have. Build toward the target. Let me leave you with the framework you can apply today. Bucket 1 essential expenses, target 50% or below. Bucket 2 wealth building, target 20% minimum. Bucket 3 debt elimination, target 10%, applying the rate threshold framework. Bucket 4 lifestyle spending, whatever remains after the first 3 buckets are funded. Fill them in order. Adjust the amounts as your income changes. Never swap the order. The next episode covers the exact investment inside Bucket 2, which specific index fund to buy, what expense ratio to look for, and how to set up the automatic monthly contribution so the system runs without you having to think about it. Before I go, one question for the comments. What percentage of your income are you currently putting into wealth building? Be honest. I read every comment and I will reply. If the 4-bucket system was useful today, subscribe. 1 episode per week. Always data. Never anything to buy. I will see you in episode 3.